Much like my opinion of not liking Lincoln Park, the car behind us has been very controversial.
That's a crazy thing you just said there, Tommy, because Lincoln Park is really good. But what we're going to find out today on the TFL slip test is if this electric Mercedes G580 is worthy of the G-Wagon name.
And we're also going to put it through our trenches course off-road to find out, can a quad electric motor really keep up with a triple locked G-Wagon? Let's go hit it. Welcome to the TFL slip test. Now what we do in this test is we get various wheels stuck on purpose in these rollers to torture test all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive systems to see how they work. Now this G580 is crazy because it's a quad motor design with an actual mechanical low range. So we're going to try that in a second. But first, we're going to start out easy. The front wheels are stuck. The rear motors are going to have to engage to get us unstuck just in the normal mode. In 3, 2, 1, gently onto the accelerator. I mean, literally no drama whatsoever. So that was an easy pass for the G. Let's go ahead and try out something a little bit harder. This next test, we're taking it up a notch. So this is the diagonal slip test. So the right front and the left rear are stuck in the rollers. The opposite ends of the car are going to have to engage to get us unstuck. Very, very common off-road, but also common in the snow and in the ice. Imagine you're driving up on like a snowy off-kilter curve. So into drive, still normal mode. We're gonna go onto the accelerator. All right, and that was pretty much a perfect result. So just a tiny bit of slip, and usually what happens in a typical gasoline car is you have traction control that'll engage brakes to send power to the other wheel, but because it's a quad motor setup, what happened there was opposite ends of the wheel, those motors just started engaging and pulled us right down. So, I mean, that's a perfect result so far. Let's see what happens on a three-wheel slip test. Now for this three-wheel slip test, both front wheels are stuck, the left rear is stuck, only the right rear is on the ground, which means that motor is going to have to spin to get us unstuck. And what I want to do is actually engage a different mode on this G-Wagon. So we're going to go into the trail mode, and we also have a rock setting too for the final test, so we can test out some of the different modes. So trail mode engaged. Come on, left rear. Let's see if we can get us unstuck. So that's now full throttle, and there it goes. So what we saw there is a lot of spinning. Then, after enough throttle, we got enough power to that wheel to push us off, but then the thing catapulted off the slip test. Now this is very common off-road, right? Imagine you were off-roading in high range. You finally get enough torque apply to that wheel and zoom, you go shooting off. But the EV G-Wagon is unique in that this is, I think, the only electric car on the market to have an actual low range. So for the last test, we're going to go into the rock setting and we're going to go into the four-wheel drive low. Let's see if that makes it any smoother. All right, now really excited to see if we see a difference in the low range. This vehicle, by the way, is pushing the limit as to what we can do with these rollers. Usually we try to keep incredibly heavy vehicles off of these things because it means we have to replace them constantly, which is why I've never actually run an R1T on or R1S on this test. But I thought we'd give it a try with the G-Wagon because the rollers have gotten pretty cheap now. So Rivian, if you're watching this, I'd love to get one of your rigs out here and see what they can do as well. So front wheel on the roller, we're in the rock chrome mode in the low range. Oh, pretty good. So much more smooth, right? We still got that spinning, we still got some slip, but I just applied gentle throttle. It didn't go catapulting off like it did in high range. So actually, it was better. Very cool. All right, so pass the three-wheel slip test, both front and back. Listen, the reality is, it's still not as good as a locking diff. Because if we had front and rear lockers engaged on a gas G-Wagon, there'd be no slipping at all, right? Both wheels on the front would be spinning at the same speed, both at the rear would be spinning at the same speed, and we could just kind of gently get off. But I have to say, that was actually pretty smooth altogether. Two amazing sponsors to thank in today's video. First of all, Onyx Off-Road, by far the best off-road trail navigation out there. Find the best trails, know what you're getting into, and find the best camping spots with their off-grid camping layer. And secondly, if you're looking at buying pretty much any new car, you got to check out Grainger Warranties for their extended warranties. Save on average $1,000 using the link below. Big thank you to those guys for sponsoring this video.
Underneath the G580, Well, there's not as much to look at as there are sometimes when we do the slip test and put vehicles up on the lift because, of course, it's electric. So we've got a huge battery up above us with some seriously thick and massive plating under it, which you would expect for really any EV, but especially one that's designed to have some 4x4 capabilities. And even beyond that, there's still not that much to look at because we've got plating and aero covers over just about everything. This is composite, but right underneath the front end, that's steel and pretty substantial as well. Moving back along the G-Wagon, more covers over the suspension components. One big difference between this EV G-Wagon and a traditional gas model is that this is both independent front and independent rear suspension. And fun little Easter egg there on the suspension as well. This actually says AMG on it, which is kind of cool. Not that that makes any huge difference, but our weakest point on this vehicle as a whole are these tires. These are Falcon tires, they're great on the street, but this looks closer to a summer tire or even an autocross tire than any all-terrain tire. It's very little tread, certainly not designed to do anything especially rugged, but even so, this platform has a lot going for it as far as off-road potential, including even a pretty substantial recovery point on the rear.
So Case, we've actually have a lot of experience with EVs off-road, and typically, even with some of the quad motor stuff like the Rivian, it doesn't always go to plan.
Yeah, for a few reasons. One being that traction control systems and e-lockers, as companies put it, don't tend to do a lot. There are some EVs with mechanical lockers when it's a dual motor or a tri-motor. If one end of the vehicle's powertrain has only one electric motor, you can use a mechanical locker there, but these being 4 separate motors, that's not a possibility. However, so far in the slip test, it does seem like Mercedes has made a pretty good traction control system here.
I think that they're onto something. Now we're gonna try trenches here, our whole course, in 2 different settings. So first is comfort, where we're just gonna drive it in normal high range and see what happens. So now we're 2-wheeling it here. We're gonna make it as hard as possible by coming to a stop. And it's not gonna make it that hard, I don't think, Case.
Even with the tires that we're on, so we're in high range, we're not even using the low range yet.
And look at that. Here, we'll stop here, get totally off-centered. I'm just gonna apply some accelerator. And the torque delivery is insane. Like it's not even slipping tires in high range.
Which makes me so badly want this vehicle to be on a more aggressive tire. Now this car does not belong to us, and this is a $187,000 press loan from Mercedes that, especially without their permission, we're not going to take tires on and off of this vehicle. It does not belong to us. But this on a more aggressive set of all-terrains seems like it would be pretty good.
And speaking of which, we have these black gloss wheels.
Yeah.
In a 20, which is also bound for trouble. So I'm gonna move one rock over here that felt a little wheel scrapey, and we'll try it again.
Don't film this, this is embarrassing.
Now what's crazy about this is like, it's not a simulated low range. You actually have to go into neutral and then push the button.
Yeah, so it's a real low range. It only works in the rock mode, which is the most aggressive off-road mode. What's cool about this system is that it should, in the margins, make a massive difference, because if all you're trying to do is drive up a rugged road, most semi-rugged EVs can do that. But we've noticed in several EVs them struggle quite a bit with more challenging rock crawling because of the 4 maybe electric motors you have. Only 2 of them have traction, so that cuts your power in half. And as big as some of the torque figures on those vehicles are, it's geared the same for crawling up a rock as it is for going down the highway. And there's only so much power you can flow to an electric motor when it's not moving. So having that advantage of gearing on this system, it's actually really good.
It's ace. Now we need to make a tight turn here, and we could use a tank mode, which we'll show in a second, but I want to show this button, which is way more useful. So there is a turn assist button, and a lot of vehicles have this, like our Bronco, right?
True, but in the Bronco, it makes a difference, but it's not a night and day difference.
But what's crazy about this thing is not only can you drag an inside wheel, but you can actually add more power to the outside wheel.
That's pretty good.
Crazy what you can do. So we're in low range and rock crawl. Now, as Case kept talking about earlier, there is no mechanical locking diff. but even still, the torque delivery in low range with these e-motors is pretty unbelievable. So we're gonna get this vehicle fully flexed out. By the way, suspension travel doesn't feel bad for independent suspension,
No,
you know?
for fully independent. It's something that excites me about this vehicle is they mechanically have still made it a G-Wagon, which makes you kind of wonder why give it these heavily bolstered seats and these not at all aggressive tires. Maybe down the line they'll do a package like the Professional package that they've done, some of the other trims that gave you a more rugged kit on the rest of the vehicle, because this has the potential to be really good.
It could be so cool. And Mercedes, if you're watching this, please give us this thing back on real rubber and let us try some stuff, because from what we've seen just on this first little look, is unbelievable what you can do with this four-wheel drive system. Look at that, it's amazing.
As far as the four-wheel drive system goes, which is what the slip test is primarily about, this is an A+, especially for EVs. I don't know, Tommy, I mean, is there any EV that you've driven after now seeing how this system works that you think is definitively better than this?
No, I think this is incredible. There's one more thing we want to show you, which is the tank turn. So we're gonna go find some grass and then show you that.
Grass, not dirt?
All right, we'll find some dirt.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right. We got some dead dirt here, and we'll show how that works. All right, Case, it's your turn.
Now time for this vehicle's most interesting, arguably, party trick, which is what they call the G-turn, and it's essentially a tank turn. So all I have to do is hold the paddle in the direction that I want to turn, give it a little throttle, and that is the strangest feeling. Let's see if I can do it in the other direction. Once again, paddle, little throttle. I'm not sure how strictly useful this feature is, but because this is a quad motor vehicle, it's got that ability, and it is a fun party trick, no doubt.
Hit it.
It makes a lot of noise for an EV.
So this thing has an option called the G-Roar, which plays a noise on the inside as well.
Yeah.
But Case, what are your takeaways from what we saw today?
It's got so much potential. If you buy one of these, put more aggressive tires on it, you could genuinely run some difficult trails if you're willing to do that in an almost $200,000 SUV. I don't think a lot of people are going to.
No, we really want to show more of this capability. So if we can get rid of the Falcon Azenis street tires, I think that would be really cool to show you guys more of what we can do with this G-Wagon, because I'm sure it's incredible based on what we've seen today.
But if you're wondering whether this is a true G-Wagon, whether it's got the 4x4 capability to claim that, I would argue it definitely does, because as far as we've tested, this is as good, if not better, than any EV four-wheel drive system we've seen.
Now, guys, let us know what you think in the comments below. But this has been Tommy.
In case.
See you next time.